Once I load a data source in Perspective, I'm going to see all the data columns of my data set in the default data grid view. And this is where I can go and start changing the configurations to show exactly what I want. I can right click and open the setting tabs anywhere on the chart, or my favorite way to open the settings is actually by clicking the title bar and start giving this chart a name right away. Let's call this a super grid, a superstore data grid, and you can see that the settings tab, or the settings panel, is open here to the right. From the top, I can start by changing the chart type, and each one of these chart types is going to have its own settings. You can see a list of available chart types, which, like for example, like the tree map, the map scatter, the Y charts, and the candlestick charts that are really good for financial data sets. But let's stay with the data grid and cover some of the basics that I want to show you, and those pretty much apply across all different chart types. By default, all the columns are selected to view. I can always deselect any columns that I want to exclude from my dashboard or select them back in. I can also reorder the columns by drag and dropping them where I want. Also, I can change the settings for each individual column. For example, the order date, if I click the settings icon, I can change the date format or the foreground or the background color of the column itself. I can also see a list of automatically detected data types of the column. So here you can see the string columns marked with an A, the date columns that have a calendar icon, and the number columns that have a number icon. All right, let's close the column settings and let's start applying visualization or aggregations on top of our data. So I can apply group by just typing the first few letters of my column name and then selecting that column. Now I'm grouping by state, and you can see all the values now are aggregated. Right away, you're going to see the aggregation method next to each one of the columns. Again, Perspective automatically detects and chooses the best aggregation function, but I can always change these to anything that I want. So for row ID, for example, let's take the last, for count for the order ID, sum for cells and quantities, and etc. I'm going to show you a good trick here. Again, by default, all the columns are selected, but you can also kind of work backwards. So if there's only one column that you want to select, you can hold down Shift and then select that column. So I can now only view cells, and let's start adding columns back into our dashboard. So I'm going to also select profit. Let's take the quantity as well. Let's take shipping date, and let's also take the row ID. And I'm going to now start customizing this the way I want. So I want the count of row IDs. I'm going to take the last shipping date, or maybe the most dominant shipping date, and the sums of all the other columns. I can apply multiple group bys. So if I'm grouping by state, maybe I want to also group by city underneath each state, and you can see the group by is being added here. Split by is very nice if I want to see a side-by-side comparison of my different grouping buckets. Let's say I want to see categories of different product or sales that I have in split fashion. So if I choose category, and you can see now I get a side-by-side comparison of each one of my product categories, still bucketed by the group by columns here. And you can again add as many as these group bys or split by columns, and that's going to just granularly apply the aggregations down. The other thing to notice here is my order by. That's just the way I want my data sorted. So if I want to order by cells, and let's get that in a descending order. So my top or highest selling state by group by is going to be on top, and then it's going to go down. And also my highest city within that state. So I can see Los Angeles has the most amount of sales, and then it's San Francisco, San Diego within California. You can always change the order by or sorting order. Here in this case, you're sorting now across the splits, backweighting splits, no sorting, again, descending or ascending order. I can also put filter or where clause conditions on the data. So if I only want to see data in state of California, I can say state and then choose the value. Let's say we're going to choose California, just type the first few letters and then click the option that's available. At any point, if I'm not happy with any of these aggregations or customizations that I have, I can just take those off. So it's very easy to add or remove any of the customizations that I have. So I'm going to remove the order by as well. Maybe I'll also remove the group by for the city. Now, before we move on to different chart types, I want to show you a very handy feature here, which is saving the dashboard. At any point, if you want to save your work, you can come up here to the title and you can give this dashboard a name and then click the save icon up here. What that does is going to generate a hash URL of my dashboard. If I'm again logged into Prospective, next time I'm going to come in and log in, I'm going to see this save dashboard on my front page. But the other thing that this allows me to do, if this dashboard is public, is connected to public data sources, I can also just copy and paste this URL link, send it to my friend or colleague, and they can open it and see exactly the same dashboard the way I have it configured. And they can make their own modifications on top of it, save their own version, come back. So it's very easy to share and collaborate with others as well.